resumed.
Alright, hello everyone, I am Demon Monkey, of course, your regular commentator here, and we're going to be back with some more Heart of the Swarm action I believe this map is called Newkirk District. I believe that is. I'm gonna get back to you on that. I'm gonna put it in the link below what map it actually is. But today, before we talk about anything, I know it's been a while before I uploaded a video, but before we talk about anything, I have a very special guest with me. He's my good friend. He is John. He's from YouTube.com, Big Brother Gaming. He's not very known out there, but we're going to be doing a lot of stuff together coming up recently. So hello, John, and welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, so we're going to go ahead and get in here. We're basically going to be casting this game, and this is a really high-level game. It's between cYong, who is our Protoss player. He is part of Team CLRT, so that's what the CLRT stands for, versus TerrorPrime, who is our blue Zerg opponent down here in the bottom left, and cYong is in the bottom right. So this will be interesting when you see the pylon going down at the natural, which most likely indicates some sort of Forge Fast expand. But might not be. Might be some sort of gateway expand down here. Also, that could be very interesting.
Yeah, I mean, I've tried experimenting with gateway expands. If you want to do a timing attack with like early warp gate attacks, it helps out a lot if you go gate first because you get the cybernetics core out faster. So that means you can start researching warp gates faster, and it really helps if you want to do like a 6-gate attack. Even a 4-gate it'll help.
And now in Heart of the Swarm, it's much more viable to go for that gateway opening against Protoss. I know against Zerg as Protoss. There we go. Because with the Cyber Core, you can get out the Mothership Core, and that has the Purify ability on it. And because that Purify ability, it gives basically a cannon onto the Nexus, and that cannon will be very defensive. It's really good at fending off roaches. It's good at fending off lings, any kind of early harass unit that's going to get in there. And meanwhile, Young here denying the natural of TerrorPrime for as long as he could. He didn't quite get a pylon down there, but he denied it for as long as he could. And we did have a pool before the hatchery, so it was a 14 or 13 pool there.
Yeah, and we also had a Nexus first for Yong, and then into Forge, and now we see the gateway going down. And so yeah, he's gonna go for a more economic focused build.
Yeah, so this is the Forge Fast expand. It's not the Gateway Cyber Core expand, which it's still a really viable strategy as of this point in Starcraft.
Yeah, I mean, I like the cannon, the Forge, the Forge first because you can get that cannon up, and it's a much safer build. But like I said earlier, it slows down your warp gate timings. But I mean, it does make a difference depending on what you're gonna do. But he went Nexus first, so he wants to be safer and get the Forge out so he can get that cannon to defend.
Right, and so TerrorPrime here doing something really interesting. He injected larvae with that first queen, and then began walking it down to the natural immediately. And that's going to time up perfectly. He's going to have a perfect 25 as soon as it finishes. There we go. Going to be able to inject some larvae there once he pays attention. And meanwhile, another queen pops out just in time to inject larvae here. So he's very good on his timings there. Actually popped down a creep tumor. Very interesting choice there. Walk into the third. He's got this all planned out for himself. Gonna move to the third over there while getting out another queen in the main. So this is a whole pattern that he really perfects, and this is something that high-level players really, they time these things out perfectly. So it's perfectly timed in their minds. They know how it's all going to work. And low-level players, they don't really know about timings like this, and so it's really something that we can pick up on as we see it happening.
Yeah, and I actually did think that was pretty interesting to go for the creep tumor before the larva injection. Oh wow, that's a new creep tumor animation. That looks really good. I haven't seen that before.
It does.
I don't play Zerg, so I guess that's why I haven't seen it. But I thought it was weird how he chose to inject, or it chose instead of injecting larva, actually put the creep tumor down. But I mean, he's better than I'll ever be at Zerg, so he knows what he's doing.
Right, so we see the warp gate research now coming out along with the robotics facility. And that's a really interesting choice because you gotta remember Protoss are really good with Stargate openings now. That Oracle Harass is really strong, doing 15 damage plus 10 to light. So that's 30, or no, that's 25 to workers, which basically means two shots a drone and or probe and or SCV, and the attack speed is ridiculous on those things. So it does a whole lot of damage really, really fast and can wipe out mineral lines in a matter of seconds without defense there.
Yeah, with the very little time I've spent with HotS, Oracles seem to be very, very good. And very, very good is an understatement. They're a very good unit.
So, we see, oh no, Mr. Overlord there falling down, going to his death.
Oh, are the sentries gonna get it? Yeah, they should get it.
They will be able to get it with their tickle beams of death. You know, I've always wondered what it'd be like to be a sentry, because, I mean, you just have a gigantic ball stuck on your back that's constantly, like, moving and rotating and stuff.
Yeah, and then after about the, 30th minute, you become useless.
A new new feature in Heart of the Swarm, Sentry, you don't have to research hallucination anymore, so hallucinate a Phoenix and it's just going to fly it over the base, and, you know, you see a lot of players scout with this now. They have no reason to get an Observer, no reason to, you know, risk a Zealot or a Stalker, you know, to fly in there and run in there and see what's going on. They can just use a hallucinated Phoenix to see everything, and we basically just see that. He saw every tech structure the Zerg had. He's seeing the saturation at each base. He knows exactly what's going on. He saw the gases at each base. He knows what's up, and he knows that some roaches are going to be on the way here pretty shortly, as 7 are in production with Zerg missile attacks and Goliath reconstitution starting up now.
Yeah, and I like that the hallucination doesn't require the upgrade anymore. It's a really good upgrade, and that'll save me from when I'm playing against Zerg and accidentally hitting hallucinate instead of warp gate. Which I've done plenty of times, and it's really embarrassing. Especially when you're like, hey, research complete, and you start trying to turn everything into warp gates, and it doesn't happen. You look at it and you're like, oh, come on now.
The problems of a Starcraft 2 player.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, another Phoenix going out, going to scout things out, and he has an Observer to see the roads count here. It's actually perfectly in position. And take note, these are high-level replays.
Oh, I hit the B button. Poop.
Oh yeah, the B button makes it go back a little bit in time. No big deal there. So I feel Young's decision to go for the Immortal is actually pretty nice here. Because of the roaches, he's not going to be... He's going to be able to secure his third pretty easily. Even if the roaches do make some sort of push on him, he's going to know... he's going to have those Immortals and those sentries there to defend it. And he could even make some sort of a push behind this if he got a few more sentries.
Yeah, I mean, that Immortal... With the single Immortal, I mean, it might... Oh, never mind. Scratch that. Second Immortal just popped out. So that should be able to... With good force fields, he should have no problem with these roaches. I think the Lings are the ones that are going to give him problems. There's not really enough Lings to do anything. So, with good force fields, and if he can keep these pylons alive and his cannons alive, he should be fine.
He's at a pretty good choke point there. Some nice force fields. Tried to trap a few things in there, but they actually did not end up trapping anything. Maybe picked off 1 or 2 roaches there. But now the Mothership Core is going to abuse its ability that it can use to chase this army around endlessly while shooting it. And it does have an attack on it that only does 8 damage, so it's not very much about the damage of a Marine. But it's a flying unit, so Zergs, you know, over there really have to watch over that. Meanwhile, it does have the Photon Overcharge. That's what it's called. It's not called Purify anymore. My bad. It can use that on the Nexus, which is why he's staying as close to his Nexus as he can. Meanwhile, here comes the Engage. Some nice force fields there. The Immortals ripping through these. The Time Warp going on, going to slow down all the units. Meanwhile, another attack at the back, taking out all the cannons there. And all the roaches at the front get cleaned up. Some Zealots being warped in here at this choke point. And this is not where the roaches want to be. 2 of the Immortals still standing. I think only 1 Immortal dropped there. More Lings coming in to reinforce. This Mothership Core having so much fun shooting everything on the ground. All the Immortals now getting surrounded with the Stalkers. And I can't actually tell who's going to win this. With the Stalkers now blinking back, the reinforcements coming. The Protoss should hold here pretty much.
Yeah, and that was a really good engagement, I think, by... I mean, it was good. It was set up great by TerrorPrime. I mean... He literally, he set up that flank really well. He had units draw the Protoss army to the right while he had another reinforcing army come from the left. But it was just a good choke that he tried to attack into, and a good force field and the Time Warp helped him out.
Meanwhile, TerrorPrime securing his 4th behind this while constantly reinforcing and needing Zerg Missile Attacks 3. Meanwhile, Protoss Ground Weapons 3 has been thrown up here. So we haven't seen many new units being utilized. There we go. That's what I was looking for. The Infestation could finally thrown out. Now this could lead to either A, Infestors, or B, Swarm Hosts. So, you know, we need to really keep a close eye on which one of those lead to. Meanwhile, another engagement's happening here. And a nice flank coming down there. A few force fields.
Yeah, and it looks like he has to force those from the Lings, but I mean, the sentries are going down really fast here. I don't think there might actually be too many roaches for him to hold this. He might have to sack his third, but here Photon Overcharge going down and more Lings coming in to reinforce. He might actually have just enough to hold this.
Yeah, especially with the constant reinforcements. The Mothership Core still having a heyday up there. 5 kills and is a mentor at this point. And these Blink Stalkers, he needs to warp in more units. How are those warp cycles looking? Oh, another Immortal just popped out. That's going to be so crucial in helping hold this. But so many Lings here to reinforce. 13 more Roaches coming out. The Nexus could fall here. It's going to fall very fast. Will it? I can't tell yet. More Stalkers being warped in, and it does go down now. That is huge for TerrorPrime. That puts the 3-base economy Protoss back on 2 bases here. And the Enduring Locust coming out there, which makes the Locust last 25 seconds instead of 15 from the Swarm Host. So we are going to see some Swarm Host play. Get some of those Heart of the Swarm units out here. It's going to be really fun.
Yeah, for what I've seen, Swarm Hosts are a really good unit. They're almost like the Broodlord. They spawn free units, and they spawn a lot of free units, and they're pretty powerful too. So I'd like to see how he utilizes them here in this battle.
Yeah, and they're really good at just, you know, constantly picking away at the army. It's a very slow process, but it's pretty good. Meanwhile, a lot of good force fields trapping all the Lings out there. That was really nice. And I like how he's using his Nexus as a wall here. The Mothership Core going on more behavior. He says, "Hey, come back! I just wanna play with you guys. Let me get off a few shots on you." But they are really fast, and 5 Swarm Hosts on the way. Yes. Meanwhile, the 4th gas is now being taken for our Zerg player.
Yeah, and oh wow, he's actually just now taking his main gases as well. I thought that's pretty interesting. Gas is going on his 4th and his main. And we got another attack coming in here with the Lings leading the charge with the Rhythm behind. And Photon Overcharge thrown down, and it looks like he was just trying to psych that out, trying to force the Photon Overcharge, and trying to buy time for the Swarm Hosts, which are on the way.
Now, cYong sees the Swarm Hosts coming. He can see them with that observer. He has positioned near the 4th. He's like, okay, I see that. He knows that they're going to be coming. He's getting out more Immortals, but his Death Ball keeps getting larger and larger. There are no Colossus here. There is no Stargate tech just yet. He's still on 1 Robo Bay and 4 gates, surprisingly. Oh no, there's 8 gates. My bad there. There are extra gates in the back. And here come the Locusts. They have 2 and 0 upgrades, and they do 14 damage per attack. And that will slowly just pick away, and they are like free units. So you need to get up there, you need to pick off the Swarm Host if you really want to do any sort of damage to the Zerg army. And I've seen Swarm Host be effectively used against Protoss quite a few times. I've seen them also used against other Zergs, and I feel like against Terran they're the weakest, because they're just not that great against Mech, and Mech is shining right now in Heart of the Swarm.
Yeah, Mech is, I feel like probably one of the better ways to go right now is Terran. And that's something Terran definitely needed, you know, after Heart of the Swarm and all the complaints about Terran being really weak. And honestly, I'm not trying to start the debate about that. I mean, about, you know, race and balance, but right now we've got this huge battle going on. It looks like the Protoss is actually going to pick off these Swarm Hosts. If you can, blink forward, picking off 1 Swarm Host, getting a 2nd right now. The Roaches are trying to hold this army off while the Swarm Hosts make a retreat, and more Lings streaming into the battle. Good blink micro, blinking the Stalkers back, trying to keep them alive.
Now just gonna burrow down the Swarm Host here, and I feel like that's another great thing about the Swarm Host. They're in a way like siege tanks. They can be used really offensively, but at the same time they can be used really defensively also. So you just really have to keep an eye for that. Meanwhile, Zerg missile attacks number 3 coming out with ground carapace is gonna keep those Locusts alive even longer. Get more of the damages out there from those picking away, but look at how far they can go while they are still alive here. It's crazy. 25 seconds doesn't seem like a while until you actually feel it. And every shot that those Locusts get off, it counts. Now, I know there's going to be that one person that's like, "Well, excuse me, Mr. Demon Monkey, but Protoss armies have shields, and Locusts don't really affect the shields that much." But if you lose 1 unit to those Locusts, it was worth it. That's really what you have to look at there. And I like how Terror here is setting up a spine crawler wall and that's going to really help in defending the placement of these locusts, no, of the swarm host as he moves them forward.
Yeah, and a little bit of a move command right there, losing a few stalkers to this, to the locust army, and force fielded a few roaches at the Naga. That was really good. And his Colossus is going to help tear through these light, the light locusts, because Colossus just, they tear through everything. And if he can keep the Colossus at the back, it'll be a good support unit. And as long as he protects it, like it looks like he was doing, he should be just fine. He should be able to take this army out, or at least hold it off for longer while he gets his 4th base up and running fully.
Yeah, now that's something to note too. Our Zerg player is now on 5 bases, whereas our Protoss player is only on 4. No, he is on 4. Okay, I did not see this 4th expansion down here. I should have kept tabs on that, but I did not. So it is 4 and 5, which is somewhat even. I like how he has his army on hold position. So they're not going to drastically move if a Zerg army strikes. He's trying to take his 5th here, but there are a bunch of Lings and Roaches up here. He's now pulling his army over here. He's going to blink forward. He does not want to lose this 5th. He does not want it delayed for any amount that he could. And right now, he's just kind of throwing the Roaches away. He doesn't necessarily need them for the time being. Meanwhile, all these locusts dying right before they get to the base. It's quite sad, to be honest. But all these Roaches will end up dying here as they get trapped in this corner.
Yeah, but it's like, he did a really good job of, like, surrounding the Roach army, but oh, no observer, and they're just gonna burrow and hide over there. And the locusts, like you said, they're dying just before they get to the base. They're not really doing too much damage, taking the shields off one of the stalkers right there. And this isn't really something that cYong wants to do. He doesn't really want to walk into the locust. He needs to try and find a spot where he can attack it without taking too much damage.
Warp Prism in the main. Some Zealots coming out here, but the Greater Spire isn't in the main. It is at the Spire, actually. Meanwhile, as I was about to say, the Greater Spire is warping in. Not warping in. Mutilating in, I guess would be a better way of putting it. It actually says mutating at the bottom right there. That's actually really cool. If you click on the Spire, it says mutating at the bottom there. 66 out of 100 done. I was close. Mutilating and mutating. Very similar words. Almost there, but meanwhile, something's happening at the middle that I'm not looking at because I'm stupid. The engagement here. I can't tell what's going on, but it looks like locusts are picking away at a death ball. That's what it looks like to me.
Yeah, and the corruptors actually pick off they just not pick off the Warp Prism. They are now going to help pick off these Colossus, using their corruption ability to make the Colossus take more damage.
And I like how they're spreading out too. It's quite an interesting technique, but there's so many of them and they just keep coming. And all of the Colossus go down, and that's going to be so crucial to dealing with these, because right now these swarm hosts, I have noticed something about swarm hosts as the Zerg loses his 5th base there. Swarm hosts are not that great in small numbers unless they're defended really heavily, but once you get a whole lot of them, they're extremely strong. And so we're starting to see that number get higher as the corruptors get out. And now losing the 3rd and the macro hatchery there, that's not very good for our Zerg player there. Hallucinating a Phoenix, go check out what's going on everywhere else. But now he's going to be trapped by Lings and Locusts, and this is kind of going to be a hard position for him to be in right here.
Oh yeah, and that Immortal getting surrounded, that straggler Immortal getting surrounded by the Lings and getting picked off easily. Now these Locusts are going to come in, and they're going to start trying to pick off these units as they walk away. And
yeah, Locusts are quite slow, actually.
Yeah, they have a movement speed of
1.88.
That is pretty slow, but I mean, I guess it's fast enough to pick off stalkers, or not pick them off, but do a little bit of damage. There's that one speedling, tickling the stalker right there.
And that stalker
gets
blasted
into oblivion.
These are all my friends. You might pick on me, but if we stand as a whole, we can fight you off. Which is very inspirational if you think about it, but I guess in terms of looking at it that way, not really. Never mind anyway. Broodlords here. How many is this indeed? We shall see. There are, 40 locusts there. That actually looks quite cool. 2 more Broodlords, 9 Broodlords coming out right now. 4 more Corruptors just spawning. And, so 20 Swarm Hosts actually. Wow.
Oh, wow. That is a lot of locusts. That is so many free units that he's going to be able to pick off, all these stalkers, and he's going to be able to whittle down this army before he can even, get anywhere near it. Oh, he could catch these Swarm Hosts before they spawn.
Oh. But
picking up 2, but that huge wave of locusts coming out.
So I think our Zerg player here, I think he came into the mindset of this game saying, hey, I'm just going to get the 2 units that give me free units, and then those free unit armies are going to completely slaughter my opponent. And CYong here, how is he going to make this approach? Is he just going to come in from behind, or is he going to go around and start killing off all the bases? Which, taking the factor of the immobile Zerg army, that might be the better thing to do. He does not want to engage it head-on, he just wants to go for all the enemy's bases. I think that's what he's going to go for, so we might be at a base race scenario here, John. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, it looks like that actually could be what happened, but, I mean, this Zerg army it's slow, but it's already at the Protoss' front door. I really don't think that there's much he can do, and the spine crawlers, they're unburrowed and moving with the army. That's going to really help a lot, and he's pulling a ton of drones. I think it looks like he's prepared for this base race. He's going to start throwing down buildings over here.
Yeah, and CYong here, he doesn't have any buildings on the outside of this. All of his probes were trapped inside, and they still are trapped inside. He's getting out a few oracles, a few wood rays, but those are not going to be much help at this point, as there are infestors and queens here. Of course, infestors, the other one that spawns free units from energy. But the base race has commenced here, and right now I would say the Zerg is in the lead, except, this 4th base of our Protoss player here. Or 3rd, no, this is the 4th.
B is too close to B. But yeah, our Zerg player doesn't even know about the 5th or the 4th base over here.
Yeah, so 3 Tempests on the way, that could be game-changing. But are they going to get out? That is the question. He's chrono boosting them out. He wants them out so badly. They're 20 more seconds. All he needs. He's focusing it down. Is he going to get it? He has actually 4 Tempests back here already, sniping down from a distance. And I don't know if you know this, but Tempests do 80 damage versus Massive every shot they do, and that's insane with the range they have. That is like 5-shotting a Broodlord, and the fact that he can step is insane.
Yeah, and he's got 6 out. He can just sit over here and abuse that area where it's wide open, and the ground units can't even get to him.
And all of these infestors now running into the 4th, gonna see it's gonna be like, alright. But CYong here, if you look down here, he secured himself a fine, he escaped with a hefty amount of probes. He killed off most of the Zerg bases, and he's just ready to secure himself another base.
Yeah, and it looks like there's the Nexus going down. All these Corruptors, oh wow, these Corruptors are going to be, they should be able to easily pick off these Colossus. A good blink forward, picking off 1 Corruptor and damaging another.
Now, the part that's going to be really crucial here is keeping these Tempests and these Void Rays alive from those Corruptors. And the Corruptors are going around this way. Oh no. A lot of Corruptors died right there from the Stalkers. There's only 8 of them left, right into the Tempest fire. Oh nope, there are a few more over here. And that puts us at 8 Corruptors there. These 2 Void Rays going to chase them out there. Maybe got 1 Tempest there. And the rest was just purely nothing, basically. Didn't pick anything else up there. Might have picked off 1 Colossus. But now all we have is this gigantic Zerg death ball and this gigantic Protoss death ball, and it's just a matter of time before one thing happens before another thing happens.
Yeah, and during that fight, I don't know if you noticed, but Terror actually tried to move some infestors up into the base of CYong right now, and he's actually got 1 up there right now, but he tried to move these unburrowed, and 2 of them got picked off.
Oh no.
Going down again, but is there an observer anywhere near it? Oh, there is an observer, but he's not near the base. This could be really bad for, there we go, all the infestors turn down the mineral line.
He doesn't notice it either. There you go, now he noticed it. Blinks forward. He's going to pull that observer, hopefully, in a second here. There we go, pulling it this way now. All these infestors are going to go down, and that's never a good thing. You never want to lose your infestors. But the swarm hosts are slowly getting closer along with the Broodlords. They know, I mean, there's no way he can physically mine to get more minerals at this point. So he can't rebuild. Terror cannot rebuild at this point, but he can slowly whittle away with his long-range units, and he's just gonna hope for the best here.
Yeah, right now I feel like maybe CYong's.
Oh no!
The
Tempest! Uh-oh. The Tempest, they need to stay alive. He needs the Tempest alive really badly here. Nice micro here, losing one to 4 Tempest left. The Tempest are so crucial because Swarm Hosts are considered, actually they're not considered a massive unit, but they still take a lot of damage from the Tempest, along with the Brood Lords who take a lot of damage from the Tempest. So boosting these Corruptors is not going to be good, but the Tempest range is just insane here.
Yeah, the Tempest usually range to pick off one Swarm Host after another. I feel like CYong's best bet right now would be to destroy those rocks, so that way walk off the ramp for a while, buy him some time, and have the Tempest pick off some of those Swarm Hosts.
There we go. He shot it down, and now he can just pick away at this. And with only 4 Corruptors left, there's not much he can do to actually stop that. There's one Queen here that's going to prevent that. But there he goes, charging up the Void Rays. They do extra damage to Armored, and then actually the damage output on is insane. 16 damage per second with the weapon range. It just makes it even more crazy.
Ooh, and all the Corruptors are gone. The Brood Lords are out in the open. The rocks go down, and the Tempest... It looks like they're trying to pick off the Spine Crawlers instead of the Brood Lords, which I feel like that could be a mistake. And the last Corruptor is about to go down. Once that Corruptor goes down, he's going to have that Queen, and that's about it. And the Queen goes down now, so there's only 3 Brood Lords left, but he needs to pick these off. One more. So you're not focusing it down. There we go. Last Brood Lord goes down. And the Swarm Hosts are going to back off.
At this point, I don't see how Terror can come back. I mean, there's no way he can get a base. He can't build a base at this point. He has no anti-air. CYong here, he has some sort of income, so he's going to be able to rebuild cannons. He's going to be able to get some gateways up, get a lot of Zealots out, and that's going to be crucial in tearing down these drones and Swarm Hosts that are left. So at this point, I mean, what can Terror do to get back into this? I don't really know at this point.
I feel like right now he's in one of the situations where he's kind of just hoping for his opponent's internet to drop. Maybe get those ladder points.
I'm assuming you've been in those moments before.
Oh yeah, before they implemented the draw system. Painful times, painful times.
Meanwhile, these Spine Crawlers running for their life, they're like, no, leave us alone! And something that I've noticed is the, more Locusts going up into that base there. I've noticed that the Spine Crawlers, when burrowed, are actually really tiny now. They sort of amped down how they look. But when they're unburrowed, they're still the size that they used to be. So they look like gigantic when they're burrowed and when they're unburrowed. So like you're going to see right now when it burrows. I mean, of course we could pay attention to the game, but you know, why would we do that?
I know,
like,
right?
Now they look a lot smaller than they did when they were unburrowed. I don't know if it's just me, but...
I think to me they look a little bigger when they're burrowed.
Really?
Yeah, and it might be a preference thing. I don't know, but he's picking off these Swarm Hosts. I really don't think there's anything Terror can do. I think it's just
These poor Swarm Hosts.
Yeah.
They don't know what hit them. Giant electric balls from the sky, and they just wish they could shoot up. They're like, why can't we launch banelings out of our back that fly in the air?
A flying baneling, oh my.
Meanwhile, this one Swarm Host, he's like, all my friends died! Help me!
So the last Swarm Host is running around right now, and it looks like... I mean, let's look at the army supplies here. Army supply is 5 to 72, and there's 24 workers, but he's got no minerals to do anything. So...
Right, and cYong sees all of the buildings of Terror. He can see them all because Terror does not have a base. He's just going to go around and kill them with his last remaining units as compared to chase down that Swarm Host. He knows he's got this in the bag, basically. He just has to do a few more things together. He found all the drones, but they could not do much anyway. Get him melt here. Oh, so deathly.
And there we go, there's the GG.
GG indeed. And cYong there's going to stay in the replay for a few seconds there, kind of going, whoa, that game was epic.
Probably doing a little celebration there.
And you know, this is one of the most epic games I think I've ever seen in Heart of the Swarm so far.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't watched too much Heart of the Swarm. I've watched, you know, of course, like all the, you know, some of the, not all of them, but I've watched some of the, you know, videos talking about it and a few videos of people playing, mostly White Raw. But
yeah.
I mean, they're all Heartless form looks very promising.
Now, I think the biggest mistake, because a lot of times, you know, I'll want to go back. I want to say, okay, what did I do wrong this game? What did the player do wrong that made him lose the game? And Terror looked really, really strong throughout this game. It's not the mistake of, oh, TerrorPrime is bad. He lost because he's bad. No, it's not one of those. It's just that, in the brink of the moment, he just maybe under the pressure. I know when games go on for longer, I sort of get under the pressure that I'm like, oh gosh, he probably has 47,000 bases by now, you know. So he, what really went wrong, I felt, is as he was killing off the entire base of Young, the Tempest kept accumulating at the back, and I think it got up to like 8 at one point. And once those Tempests get out, they can just snipe everything from such a far range. And he had a good 20 Corruptors, but there was a moment where he flew them over this expansion that Yang had actually set up here, down here. He had set them up. You see John here trying to get back to the part of the game. But he flew those 20 Corruptors over the base there, and Stalkers picked off a good 12 of them, I feel. 10 or 12 of them, and I think that was game-changing at that moment. That was really what cost him the game. They're losing those 12 Corruptors, because he couldn't use those to pick off the Colossus, he couldn't use them to pick off the Tempest in the late game, and it just really cost him the game.
Yeah, as I try and find that spot in the game, where is it? I was literally running here, it was around here. And, yeah, I think another thing was he didn't mine enough before he pulled his drones in order to, make a base. I mean, actually, no, scratch that. Did he? Where are his drones right now? His drones are... Oh, he made so many Corruptors that he used all of his bank.
Ah.
That was his problem. He made so many Corruptors, and that's where all the Corruptors are going to come from, that he's going to pop out. And they're going to get picked off by the Stalkers over there. If he would have saved, you know, enough to make a hatchery, I feel like he would have had a chance, because his army would always win in a straight-up battle.
Right.
But
at this point. And we're going to see it here as Young secures his base. We're going to see the Corruptors pop out right over here. And it is 12 Corruptors right here. And with the 4 that he already has with his army or whatever, it's he's got about 17 Corruptors on the field. 12 of them are over here. They're gonna fly right through here, alright? And so we're gonna watch as this number starts to go down as the Blink Stalkers pick at them. We're gonna see one goes down right there.
Yeah, one's gonna go down instantly, and he's gonna try and you know, scoot around his army.
Try and sneak them by here. He's gonna need 1, 2, 3, 4. And at that point, I mean, you're only left with what, 10 there? 11. And at this point, some of the Void Rays get in here along with the Tempest, and they start picking them up too. We're down to 9 in total as compared to the 17 we had earlier. Now we're at 8. So that you know, those short moments basically split the Corruptor count in half, and that's really what I felt changed the game in my opinion, along with making them all compared to getting another hatchery. He would have been fine if he would have secured another hatchery maybe up here, or even up here, or here. He would have been just completely fine securing those spots, but what happened is what happened, and TerrorPrime did end up losing that game there. And Young there showing a very strong game. So guys, it's been a pleasure having you here, John, and we're gonna have more games for you in the future.
Yeah.
We're gonna have high-level games. We might even have games of ourselves. We might even have some arcade games. Who knows? We're gonna experiment. Anyway, you can find John on YouTube at Big Brother Gaming. You can also find him on Twitch. He live streams occasionally. All that stuff's gonna be in the description if you guys want to check that. He's also the one with this video, so you're probably going back and you're like, Demon, why when I go back and look at your old video quality, this new video quality you're using is a lot better? Well, I'll tell you why. It's because it's his. He's the one rendering it all. He's the one who's uploading it all. He's a really awesome guy. He's got great computer, great internet. He can do all this stuff. He's really experienced at it. And it's just been a pleasure having you here, and it was a pleasure having you cast with me.
No, thank you for having me, man. It's always a blast casting.
Oh yeah, especially if it's a really great game. So we have a lot more games from Young that we can cast. in the future. So if you guys like this, make sure to like it and hit that subscribe button. Also, leave a comment if you want to see more. Also, just comment if you you like the Tempest, you like some of the changes that are going on in Heart of the Swarm, or maybe say some things you don't like in Heart of the Swarm. Be like, I think the change that Widow Mines do this much damage compared to this much cost is stupid. You know, it's fine too. Everyone has their own opinions and they're entitled to it. So it's a great game, and I'll see you all guys. See all you guys soon. There we go. That's what I was looking for. See you guys soon, and John, if there's anything you want to say?
Yeah, just thank you for having me on. I mean, yeah, I just got my YouTube channel up, so it doesn't look all that great, but I'm working on it. I'm making it better. I do try to stream a lot. I stream a lot of games. I mostly play Battlefield 3 or Starcraft 2. But I just got Mafia 2, so I might be doing a playthrough of that and beating the game for you guys. So feel free to check that out. I'm sure Austin will put a link to my stream and my YouTube channel in the description. So yeah, thank you for having me.
Alright, see you all later.